Hello and welcome to today's ICFLA webinar. My name is Cynthia Oraduba, and I am your host for today's teleclass. And I'm so happy to have this honor. And today with me, we are privileged to have our new co-chairs for our telesip classes and webinars, and that is Maria Bush and Heather Boatman. They will be assisting me doing the Zoom controls and managing everything behind the scenes. So we're happy that you have joined us for today's event, Empower Your Brand. Unlock the story of your leadership with speaker Melinda Lee, who is a speaking coach. Heather, I'm going to introduce Heather, who is the co-chair, and she and Maria have designed a new activity for our webinar. So I will turn it over to Heather.
Hey, everybody. So as you heard, Maria and I are now co-chairs for webinars, and we're really working hard to take what we think is already good webinars and take them up a notch. So you will see going forward webinars that are extremely interactive. We already have a LinkedIn webinar set where you will literally bring your phone and they will walk you through how you up your game in LinkedIn. We have an AI one coming up where, again, you will go on and do AI things while you're on the call. The other thing we're changing or adding is a networking moment. So that's what we plan to do right now. So if you have your cameras off, I ask that you turn them on. We will be in 5 quick minutes. This is quick. We're not going to take away from Melinda, our fabulous speaker. So this is quick. I'll give you a pause 1 second for those that don't have your camera on to turn your camera on. And then Cynthia's going to pop us into breakout rooms so that you can meet 2.5 minutes each person. You introduce, get to know somebody, we'll come back and we will kick off the webinar. But I see a few people haven't turned your cameras on yet. So we'll move into the breakouts, but I do ask, it's kind of weird if you're meeting somebody and the camera's not on. So please, at least when you get into the room, turn them on. Okay.
How was that?
Right.
Wonderful. So we have so much to talk about, so we're going to get started. So I'm going to move on and introduce our speaker. So let me tell you about Melinda. Melinda Lee is a presentation skills expert, speaking coach, and nationally renowned motivational speaker. She holds an MA in organizational psychology, is an insights practitioner, and is certified in learning and business performance, as well as conflict resolution. For over a decade, Melinda has researched and studied the state of flow, and it is used as a proven technique to help corporate leaders and business owners amplify their voices, access flow, and present their mission in a more powerful way to achieve results. She has worked with executives and teams from Facebook and Google, Microsoft, Caltrans, BART, Army Corps of Engineers, and more. Welcome, Melinda. It's all yours.
Thank you, Cynthia. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to meet you. I have someone very special to introduce you to. She's near and dear to my heart. I'm going to share my screen and show you her photo. She is my grandmother. This is my dear grandmother. She's loving, kind, and she unfortunately was also the 4th concubine. That means when she was 25 years old, She was sold into a marriage to a man who's 35 years her senior. So you thought your life is hard if you're married. She had to listen to her husband and 3 wives. My
Wow.
grandmother did not have a voice. And here's my mother. She raised 4 children, ran 2 restaurants, and when things went wrong, she got yelled at by customers, by my dad, by workers, and she never spoke up. So naturally, when I went to work for corporate, I was an agreeable person, had great work ethic, and thought, okay, I'm gonna work really hard. They're going to see my potential. And then I get an email one day. It was a new hire that got promoted before me. Oh, it was a punch in the stomach. Yeah. How could all my work get unnoticed? How can I be not seen? My mind started racing. Was it because I didn't speak up enough? And then 1 week later, my manager walks into my office and says, Melinda, I'd like for you to present to all the executives. My stomach started twisting in knots. I felt the nervousness. I wasn't even speaking yet. My mind started racing. I'm going to fumble on my words. I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to make a fool out of myself. I just can't do it. I felt so small. And yet my heart told me it's time. It's time to speak up. It's time to say yes to something bigger than myself. So I said yes to the calling. I said yes. And so I got the right tools, mentorship, because I knew I wasn't ready. And that day I spoke up clearly, confidently to those executive leaders. And not only did I do that, but I also found my purpose, which is to help leaders to empower their voices, because it's a vehicle to connect, to make an impact, to deliver powerful presentations and tell compelling stories so you can attract the right clients, you can get buy-in from authorities, you can make a big impact in your life. And so whether you are a beginner, coach, or a seasoned one, I invite you to be present today. Put away your phones, turn on your cameras. It's time to show up, right? Be here with us and engage, open up your hearts. And I promise what I'm about to share with you, you will get a nugget. It can change your career. So are you ready to begin? Yes? Awesome. I'm going to put on the chat. So this is, like Heather said, highly interactive. And so feel free to jump in if you have any questions, comments, and type in what you're learning from today. Like, what are your key insights as you're listening to me? What are you taking away? So my first question to you is, what is a brand story? You hear a lot about brand story. You're supposed to have a brand story, but what is it anyways? So what is your definition of a brand story? Type it into the chat. Yeah, what is it? What you're known for? What your business is known for? What you stand for? Anyone else? Take a guess. What you're proud of. I love that. A couple more here. Supporting others to reach their dreams and connection. You as your journey. Yes. Your brand story communicates your business. It communicates you, what you're proud for, what your accomplishments are, your values, your mission, who you are as a unique business. It sets you apart. Amongst all the people, all of your offering coaching services to your clients that sounds the same. If you are in a sea of other coaches and you're all offering the same service, what is going to help you stand out? Your story, your brand story. And the reason why it's important for you to tell your story, because it builds trust, it personalizes you, especially if you are a small business right now, small to medium-sized business. You want to quickly build trust and personalize who you are. And there's no better vehicle communication tool that resonates, that exists, except a brand story, because it makes you human and you connect to people at a personal level. So how many of you are telling your brand story today? Yes, no, sometimes. Type into the chat, just curious. Yes, no, sometimes. Most of the time, awesome. Not like I could. Just a smiley face. I'll take it. Not enough. Ah, and there's no judgment here. By the way, in this environment today, I want us to all take a pledge. There's no judgment here. As coaches, you know, there's no judgment on your journey, right? It is. Let's just be with it. And so let's practice a safe environment. This is confidential. Like, keep things confidential in here. So what we say here stays here. So yeah, not enough most of the time. So we have a broad range of where we're at with telling our brand story. And what happens if you wait too long? What happens if you don't say your brand story enough and wait too long? What could be the potential risk? It does not land. You're saying it, maybe you're saying it not enough and don't know how to say it. It doesn't, it fades away. Oh, that breaks my heart. You miss opportunities to connect. Yeah, right? Because brand stories help you connect to people. And so you're missing these wonderful opportunities to connect. And so learning how to believe in it. Do I believe in telling my brand story? The timing gets messed up. Yes. So learning to get the right time. When do I say my brand stories? Gets lost in the mix. And so the less you say it, it sounds like the less you have, you refine it, the less opportunities you have to refine it, the less opportunities you have to get better and better. So we're missing opportunities not only for our clients to connect with our clients, but for ourselves to get better at saying our brand story. And also, the more you say it, the more you believe it. It is a powerful story. I did not have my story before I started my business. And it wasn't until after I started my business, I thought back to my grandmother, my mother, and then realized this is why I'm here. This is my purpose. This is my reason for being and for living. And I have no doubt about it. I feel my ancestry following me and supporting me. And so this is why I encourage you to develop your brand story. And even if it's not refined, but continue to practice. And that's what we're here to do today, to hopefully, if you don't have your brand story, develop a first draft. And if you do have one, how do we continue to refine it and make it even powerful, more better, and even better for you and your clients? We mentioned that brand stories connect us emotionally. It will connect you and your clients. It's the vehicle to connect you and their hearts, because it's a story that you can resonate. They resonate with you. You are saying to them that I know how you feel. I've been there. I've done that. So to find your brand story, I want you to think about, we're going to do this right now in a visualization, and let's just see what comes up. You might already have a story, and we want to continue to refine it, or I invite you to go through this visualization. It's just a really quick one, meditation, to discover what might be your brand story. And the reason why brand stories are, they connect you to the client is because we're trying to find a story that is a similar time or a similar challenge to what they're experiencing. We want to think about the audience and what is the challenge that they're experiencing and what is the story that we can tell and to showcase that we've already overcome it. So please challenge yourself to participate 2 times. I love this. All right. So let's
That
go
was for
ahead.
me, Heather. Real quick, I didn't say that at the beginning, but I told you we're looking to up the game. And so
Yes.
I would ask you to challenge yourself, whether you answer one of Melinda's questions in the chat, just unmute. She said she's comfortable with you just jumping in. Whatever you want to do, but challenge yourself to do it 2 times over the next hour or so that we're on the call.
I love that. And the story that we are going to discover and write out in a moment, you're going to get an opportunity to share it with the group. So just know that, but no pressure though, but we'll guide you through the whole way on when to share it. So let's just go ahead and take a moment to close our eyes. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can, not all the way, you could just slightly look down, and let's go inward and relax your shoulders, your body, your spine. Just relaxing, noticing your breath. Allow your breath to just breathe naturally. And I invite you to take one deep inhale. And exhale. As you exhale, imagine a beautiful golden ball. This golden ball is 2 inches below your navel. This is your power center. It's always been there. This beautiful golden ball is here to magnetize any thoughts, any concerns, worries, any worries you have in your mind. Allow those to get magnetized down into the golden ball. It's absorbing any worries, any thoughts, anxiety. It's getting absorbed by this ball. And now go into your heart. Place awareness inside your heart. Now just imagine your ideal client or customer. Just be with this client. What is their challenge or frustration that you love to help them solve? Like imagine them in that challenge or frustration. Take a moment to feel that frustration with them. Feel how disappointed, abandoned, or ashamed they can feel. Feel whatever emotion that they feel. Connect with it, be with it. And then take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Ask your heart, when in my past have I felt something similar? When in my past have I felt something similar? And it could be something totally different, or it could be a similar situation. Just allow your heart, trust that your heart knows. Allow your heart to tell you who is there, what is happening, how are you feeling, and what did you do to get out of this challenge? Who are you being? And then take a deep inhale And exhale and thank your heart. Thank you, heart, for that valuable information. And then you can slowly open your eyes. And I'd like to open up the mic. What was that like? How many of you found something, like something came up? Yes or no? I'm just curious. Yes? Did a story come up? Or no, nothing? Just open up our awareness to what is, no judgment. And would anybody like to share what came up? And you can unmute too. Ted.
I'm always the one speaking up. I try not to be the first. Interesting. My story is about helping people find, their calling, right? So their leadership vision, you know, their, and it reminded me of so many points in my life. There was a book called "I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was." And so the point is I've had that experience all the way to childhood when I was first getting on a bus and didn't know what the heck I was doing or who was in charge. So the answer is I've had that many times, and it wasn't until just doing this now that of course I'm repeating probably a pattern from way back then.
And are you sharing the story about how this experience was your life? It happened to you?
Nope.
Why not? What is the reason?
Oh, I just never framed it quite in the terms of what I'm doing now. I'm sort of a leadership coach in business, and so it's often been less about that story and finding their way than just being more effective and sort of very rational kind of client issue.
Interesting. Right, right. And do you think it would help to share the story about and connect it back to them being as effective leader?
Yes, 100%, because we're all seeking context for ourselves and others. And
Yes,
that vision, that context for living into is,
correct.
without it, it's just a bunch of doing.
Right. And I imagine a lot of your clients are a bunch of doing and they don't know where they're going. They're just constantly doing. And so to have that, right? Bam! Love it. Nice. Congratulations, Ted. Great. And then I'm going to share a framework that you can put together so that you can have a story to start to share, a brand story. And that's what's going to make you unique, different from the other coaches that do what you do. Who else like to share? Anybody? Did it not work for anybody? Okay.
It worked for me. And I think that, and I don't know if this might be the case for others, there's so many thoughts that are going through my head now, and I'm putting it together, and that's why I didn't jump up. But one of the things that when you said, have I felt something similar in the past? And I'm executive coach, and I primarily work with women leaders, and I can remember a very poor example of leadership and how it impacted me. And it told me that this person was ineffective because they didn't have the support and didn't know any better. And so that my services as a coach can help someone so that they don't go through that in their leadership role.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but I
Right.
never thought about that until you asked that question that took me back. And I thought, oh, I can use this now in my story. So thank you.
Oh, good. Good. We are here to solve our mess becomes our message. Have you heard of that? Right? We love to solve the mess that we have been through. We don't want to see anybody else ever go through that again. And so it behooves you to share your message, that messy message, in an authentic, genuine way, not in a contrived way, but really genuine. This is me. This is the experience that I've been through. And when you say it in a genuine way, it connects you with your clients. Your clients cannot help but to say, that's the person that I want to work with. And the beautiful thing is your brand story is already within you. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to go try to look. It's there. You have lots of stories to share. And so when you start to share this message all the time in your marketing, in your website, in your social media, you start to bring the people that are perfectly divinely connected, aligned with you to you in a way that is powerful. And so stories are it's just two parts. All stories contain you're in this moment, everything is normal, and then you go into a dive. You go into the valley and out of the valley and back into normality again. So just remember, we're going down. When you're telling a story, where am I at? And then suddenly something changes. I was getting on the bus and I just had like, I don't know where we're going. Where am I? I don't know which way to go. And then you come out of it, and then you go back into normality, or you go back into reflection. What did I learn here? So would anybody like to share a story with just having that, taking us into the valley and out of the valley with your solutions and out? It's an interesting contradiction. Coaching is about our clients, and this is solidifying your stories are relevant too. So yes, think about it from your first person. I would like to encourage you to think about it from, this is what happened to me. I'm sitting on the bus and we don't know where we're going. We're going down into the valley. I'm sitting in the meeting room and the leader is yelling or reprimanding, obviously not knowing what they're saying. And it hurts me or it disappoints me. It makes me feel small. And then what is your solution out of it? Then I realized that this person didn't know what she was talking about. This person is probably hurt. And I'm taking away my lessons from this. So what is the valley? And then how did you get out of the valley? That's it. So just imagine that visual for yourself as you're telling a story, keeping it very simple.
Melinda?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you for this. This is really great. I just realized what you did earlier really did work for me, but there were so many things like, it's been mentioned that were flooding into my mind. I couldn't coalesce them together in a way that I could actually articulate it. But all of a sudden, something just hit me that I've been saying for so many years, and it's kind of starts like with a punchline, and it speaks to, how can I be so incredible in business and so lousy in personal relationships? And interestingly enough, that is the clientele that I seem to attract to me,
Of
predominantly women, but men too. And, and I realized the valley was after multiple divorces, all very short-lived marriages. I had to really reflect and think, there is a common denominator here, and that would be me. And then the deep journey to find out why all that was so, and then the transformation that I came out of all of that as a problem. Happy to say I'm happily married for 32 years to my wonderful husband now after
all. Oh, congratulations. Well, you walked the talk then. You walked the talk.
I had to do the work. So I don't know. That was just something that just came to me. I just thought I have that little statement that, kind of speaks to maybe my brand. I don't know.
Oh, definitely. 1000%. That is your brand. That's why you are attracting these people, the women with the similar challenge. And so can I do some coaching with you to help refine the story so that it could be more, so it can resonate and connect with it? Okay, so then let's start off with a specific moment, because you were flooding with a lot of different moments that were probably hurtful. And you're like, how do I distill this all down? Or how do I distill all of these stories down to one moment or one story that resonates. And so the short answer is you can do one time or you can connect them all. So, but I would encourage you to start off with one specific time. So there I am sitting on my fourth failed marriage, just to give you an example. Right. And what were you doing at that point of failure? Like like, do you have a moment? Like, think of one time where you just felt so heartbroken.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
is that?
So I was incredibly depressed. I
Mhm.
was confused. I was angry. I just had a flood of deep, extreme, difficult emotions.
And where were you at? Where were you
I
at?
was in my home,
Mhm.
abandoned, left again.
Mm.
And at probably I call it my dark night of my soul. You know, it was
Yeah.
the deepest despair heartbreak I've ever felt, and it was accumulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew from my past where all this, I had done enough work already with myself to at least connect the dots
Mm-hmm.
to my childhood. And but yeah, it was heavy, 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 heavy.
Mm. Sorry about that.
Oh.
It's heartbreaking after so many times. And then what is a point that you realize something? How did you get out of that?
Well, I realized I was the common denominator.
Uh-huh. Right, right. And then what did you do?
And that was actually empowering. And then, the divine guidance that moved me in all the directions into all the places that I needed to really deeply dive and deeply start my personal growth journey to heal, to find out, change my programming, change me. I mean, it was a massive 5-year transformation where I changed everything in my life.
Mm.
And yeah, I had to
And
change
now
it.
you have a husband,
Doing a wonderful
happily
family. Everything is
wonderful
wonderful.
family.
Yeah,
Love it. And then at the end, you can say, and this is why I'm passionate about helping.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So there's your story. There's your story.
And I've told that a lot.
Yeah. So you have been doing it. So
So
start
I
to
have
write
been
it
doing
up.
it. And
Yeah.
I can attest to the vulnerability and the relatability and the empathy is magical in
Mhm.
my experience. It's magical.
I mean, yeah, there's something powerful about when we share our vulnerabilities and our stories and our examples, our experiences like that. This is what creates your legacy.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is who you are.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Judy. Thank
everybody.
you. Who would like to share? Who would like to try? Try that framework of where am I? Where are you? I am here. Like start from first person. I am here. I'm sitting in my home. I've been abandoned again. I'm going to give you a moment to jot down some notes before you share. I'm sitting in my home. Where's the location? What is the year? Just describe where you're at, the context. Where are we? What's the location? What's the time? What's the year? And then go down into the valley. I've been left again. Sorry, thank you, Judy. I'm sorry if I have to repeat your story. I've been abandoned again. I'm heartbroken. I'm disappointed. This is the fourth time. And you can add, I'm so successful at work, but yet why are my relationships failing? And go into your heart. Like, what is the emotion that you had? Because that's the same emotion that your clients have. It's the, what did you say? The valley of the darkness. And then I realized, then there's going to be a moment where I realized I had a aha, I learned something. I realized that I it's me. I'm the common denominator. So what is the realization that is taking you out of the valley? And then at the end, I want you to do what is the result? I have a husband, we're happily married. And then the final reflection to the audience. This is why I'm passionate about helping women entrepreneurs This is why I'm passionate about helping women who are successful at work, but are not really successful at their relationships. This is why I'm passionate about helping leaders become more effective in finding their purpose. So what is the reflection back to the audience at the end? So take a moment to jot some notes. And look up when you're ready. And I'd like to ask for a volunteer to share. And I'm going to walk you through just a quick technique. If you're nervous, just to walk you through that before you begin. And if you're nervous, I'd really encourage you to just practice in a safe environment. So when you speak, just imagine, tell us where you're at, and imagine taking us down into the valley and then out. And then that's it. Mainly down, out, and then what's your result? What is your reflection to us? But just keep it very simple. You inherently know how to do this. Trust that when you start going down into the story, you just speak from your heart. Just trust that you can speak from your heart. And listeners, you also have a very important role right now. Audience members, I want you to open up and be very present. And when you're listening to the speaker, I invite you to listen for who the person is being. What is their presence like? And I want you to describe it in 1 or 2 words. That's it. It can be articulate, authentic, so presence, like genuine, confident, fun, storyteller, 1 or 2 words. And we're going to reflect back to the speaker and trust that go into your gut and listen for that word that comes up. So practicing getting into your intuition, your gut, and know that this is what the speaker really needs to hear for today. So let's see, who would like to try to practice? And I encourage, just don't look at your notes. Just try your best to be in the moment. Tell us the story. You're going to do great. Yay, Helen. Okay. So Helen, I invite you to, let's get centered. I'm going to invite you we'll do the centering and then take 3 breaths and ask 2 people to take a breath with you. So for example, Barry, will you take a breath with me? And then Barry will unmute, say yes, after he's done chewing. Yes, I can take a breath with you.
Absolutely, Helen.
Thank you. And then we'll take a breath. And we could all take a breath together with Helen. Yeah. And then do it with another person, and then do 1 more for yourself before you begin. And so right now, take a moment to get centered, feel that power center 2 inches below your navel, the golden ball, and drown down any thoughts, any concerns, and commit to speaking from your heart. And take 3 breaths, 2 with 2 participants and 1 for yourself.
So Barry, since you were so willing, take a breath with me, please.
Ready.
Take it in and out. Thank you. And Nancy, I see you're off mute, so I'm going to ask you to join me. So take a deep breath in and out. Thank you, Nancy. And I'll take another one. Okay. So just start. So it's the summer of 2004, and I'm sitting in my manager's office. He's across the table. I have another very large gentleman sitting next to me. And you guys don't realize this, but I'm very petite. And I work in the IT field in the financial services industry. And my manager's manager is across the table telling me that I should be more perky. And I work in audit. I don't think people want perky people in audit. I'm also wondering if the guy next to me, very large gentleman, would be told to be perky like I am. Now, this was 2004, so the world has changed since then. But I walked out of that room and I was livid and I was angry, and I worked really hard and did a great job, even though I knew in my heart this job was not my passion. So this was the kick in the pants that I needed to say, okay, I heard about this thing called coaching. I'm going to finally, after probably 5 or 6 years of hearing about coaching, I'm going to hire myself a coach, and I'm going to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, which is what I did. I finally hired my coach. I figured out I wanted to be a coach, but I was still nervous because guess what? They paid me really, really well in my job. So I really needed to know if this was going to work. So I signed up for a coaching program where I could go away for a week and really get the foundations of the coaching training. Do you know, I went to Florida, took this class. Nobody asked me what I was doing on my vacation, which was, I was glad because then I didn't have to lie. But that tells you a lot about the culture, which was a complete disconnect for me. So I took this training and I loved it so much that I came back, and instead of giving my full notice, I negotiated what I call my straddle year. And I spent that next full year building my coaching business and starting to ramp up to do what I knew at that time was one of the key things I was supposed to do, which is to help people find clarity to make the biggest impact that they've been wanting to make for so long.
Give her a round of applause or hands. Yeah. Awesome, Helen. Who is Helen being? Can you just go ahead and type 1 or 2 words? Actually, if you just go ahead and unmute too. I'll take a couple people to just unmute and say the word.
I've got
Barry, go ahead.
Well, a couple things. One is she's being authentic and courageous.
Awesome. Just hold it right there.
I have more I want to say. Do you want me to say it now or later?
Later.
Okay, cool. Come back.
So for now, Helen, I want you to repeat for yourself: authentic and courageous or confident? Did you say authentic?
You said courageous.
Courageous, right? Okay. Authentic and courageous.
Authentic and courageous.
Yeah, go feel that in your heart. Feel that in your body. Yeah.
Thank you, Barry.
Who else?
Passionate. I'd say innovative.
Thank you.
Passionate and innovative. Yeah, and repeat that.
Passionate and innovative. Yeah.
Heartfelt.
Heartfelt.
Open and human.
I think
Thank
courageous
you.
too. There was a lot of risk involved, especially leaving,
Yeah.
financially successful job to go into the unknown. Took a lot of
Mhm.
courage.
Thank you, Marie.
Yeah.
Courageous.
And
I
Barry,
would
did you
say
want to add more to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead and then I'll tell a little anecdotal.
I
You
was
go.
just going to say very inspiring.
Oh, thank you, Judy. Inspiring.
Okay, so when Helen talked, maybe it had something to do with we had the breath. I'm not sure, but there's parts of the story that I 1000% related to. So I was in the computer business and I went to look at a job as an auditor, an EDP auditor, and I'm in the early part of the career, and I'm in there thinking, what am I doing? So when you said that, I go, it's exactly what it is. So I could relate. Okay, now fast forward a different part of my life. I hired a coach exactly like you and said, what the heck am I going to do? I'm not going to do this other work anymore. And so what was amazing to me is I connected on two different parts of the stories that I had like really identical. And I go, okay, now I get you. And I can see now how I'd have that internal feel like, whoa, I could work with you.
Mhm.
I get it.
Thank you, Barry.
Yeah. It's a natural part of us when we're listening to other people's stories. It naturally stirs up our own past experiences. And so your clients that are meant to work with you they'll naturally be tugged by these emotion, by the connection of our emotions. Helen, you were passionate, genuine, inspiring, heartfelt, courageous, confident, open, warm, human. We had a universal connection to your story. This
Thank
is
you.
who you are. Thank you, Helen. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your courage in doing that, telling us that story. And I'm
Thank
not sure
you.
how much time. Thank you, everybody. Let's give her a high five. How much time do we have, Heather, Cynthia? I would love to do one more, but probably not enough time.
Yeah, we probably have
We
like,
have about 20 minutes.
Oh, we have 20 minutes left.
Mhm.
Okay, we could do one more. So again, just tell your story, and then as listeners, we'll just do one or two words at the end. So open up your heart and your gut to who's this person being. Let's try for one more and speak from your heart. That's it.
I can do it.
Thank you, Nancy. All right. So let's just take a moment to connect to that power center, golden ball. We can all do it together. Let's get in touch with this beautiful golden ball. It's here to magnetize any worries, any thoughts. Allow those to get drowned down and magnetized by this golden ball, drowning down any worries or concerns, absorbed by this ball. Beautiful. You can open up your eyes and ask two people to take a breath with you and then one breath for yourself.
Okay. Maria, will you take a breath with me?
Yes, I will.
And Audrey, will you take a breath with me? Okay, well, I will take you back to, I have just rushed in from LAX. I've got two kids at home, but I've instead gone directly to the office after 10 days in Canada. I was working in television on a production that was kind of going awry. And so instead of being there for 3 days, I was there for a week. Sorry, for 10 days. And came rushing in to where my boss called, who is also a petite woman, as I am as well. And she said, "Get in here." I walk into her office and she says, "Why are you here? You should still be in Canada. This looks this is just a mess. I said, it is not a mess. What are you looking at? She was looking at something first couple of days of dailies. I said, well, look at day 3 and onward. She said, I don't have time. Get back on the plane. And I said, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. And I had never been this bold, but I just was so angry. And she pounded her fist on the table and said, damn it, you're putting your family first, aren't you? And out of nowhere, this voice came out of me, and I said, well, I always put my family first, but that's not the reason I won't go. It's just not necessary.
Wow.
And cutting to the chase here, but I walked out of that meeting and thought, there has to be a better way. There has to be a way to unify my personal life and hopes for my family with my professional ambition and professional goals. And this is not the way to do it. And I was lucky enough to have been sort of introduced to the world of coaching by someone who'd been, she called herself a consultant at the time. She'd been brought in to knit our East and West Coast divisions together better. This woman, my boss, would zip in from the East Coast. And she was definitely the epitome of not getting what we were all doing and not particularly caring, apparently. And so I thought, well, whatever this woman is, this consultant at the time, in quotes, was doing, I think I need to learn what that's all about. And so I went, like the rest of us, it seems, with this kind of cathartic moment, I realized I need to check this out. And as soon as I took the first weekend introductory course, I realized there's really something here. And if I could help other people learn how to, bring those dreams and desires together, that would be something remarkable and gratifying. And so that's what I've been doing now for 24 years.
Yay! Nancy, everybody give her a high five. Hands.
Great
Thank
story.
you, Nancy.
Great
Great
story.
story. Who is Nancy being? Go ahead and type into the chat, or you can unmute. And I encourage you, Nancy, once they say it, go ahead and say it for yourself. We're rewiring our nervous system here. Sometimes right after we speak, a lot of times we're like, oh my gosh, what did I not say? How did I say this? So we want to transition over to something that is true. So who is Nancy being?
Resilient, steadfast, and open.
Okay, so Nancy, resilient, steadfast, and open. Can you repeat that?
Thank you very much.
Courageous and bold.
Sorry, Maria. Nancy, go ahead and repeat that for yourself.
Wow, it's very emotional. Authentic, resilient, steadfast, and open. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Maria.
I was just going to say courageous and bold. I say bold because I felt that courage really pushed you through to make a decision that was going to be right for you. And so often as women, we get caught up in expectations, but you really pushed beyond that and became who you really are.
Thank you, Maria.
Can you repeat that for yourself? What was it? Courageous, bold?
Courageous and bold.
Awesome. And Nancy, you also have authentic, empowered, heartfelt, committed, entertaining, real, and inspiring. This is who you are. I'm so glad you're writing it down. I have these plastered, all these post-its of all these true affirmations about myself everywhere, just to remind me every day. Because sometimes after speaking, delivering presentations, we go into the route of what did I do wrong? What did I not say? And so let's get into the habit of also finding out, discovering, claiming what is true. And so thank you, Nancy, for sharing that beautiful story. How many of you have a signature talk with your brand story? Okay. Okay, Judy, you're like, okay, so what you just did, what Judy, Ted, do you notice? I mean, I gave you a real simple structure of a story, and it came from your heart. It was so genuine, it's so real. How many of you have written out a presentation and wrote it all word for word and tried to memorize the whole thing? I mean, have you ever like get stuck with like trying to memorize the script? What happens is then we just get caught up in our head. We're thinking about what I'm saying. And the whole time I kept on saying, commit to speaking from your heart. You know this. So the practice of public speaking is knowing a simple structure. That's your roadmap. But then once you're there, going into speaking with confidence, with heart, with connection, that's where you're going to be magnetic and radiant to your audience, because you're not in your head thinking about what I'm going to say. So I'll share with you the simple story framework, which I share with my clients. And I also use it to deliver content pieces. So if you have a signature speech, you can use a very similar framework to also share your content in a way that you can finally let go of your script, because you know the structure, you know the roadmap. So let me just share my screen. I'm going to go through it quickly. So we talked about how all stories go down into the valley and then take us out. If you could just remember that visual, you'll be set. But here's a little bit more structure to the stories that will give you a roadmap. Oops. We talked about how stories start off with the context. What year is it? The location. Then you go down into the valley, the challenge. And then you realize something. I realize that I am the common denominator. Then what are the results and the reflection? I encourage you to stick to the result of the story. I was able to find a husband. Now we have a family. And then the reflection is, that is when I realized that I am passionate about helping future women that are having challenges with relationships. So what is it that you want the audience to remember? You can also do this in your presentations about a topic. So if you're teaching about, let's say, a growth mindset, how to have growth mindset, you can use the context. So that I call this framework the KAKAR framework. What is the context that you're talking about? Describing more, elaborate more about the topic. What is the context? And then go into the challenges. What are the challenges that most people have with growth mindset? Well, they're afraid of failure. They just think that once you have a skill, you cannot develop it anymore. Those are their challenges. They're stuck in this mindset that they cannot grow. Well, what are your solutions? Be resilient. Believe that you can develop. That is how you start to create a growth mindset. And what are the results of having a growth mindset? You're more resilient. You're not as afraid when you fail. So you notice how I'm not telling a specific life story, but I'm taking this KAKAR framework and applying it to a content piece. And in presentations, I encourage you to have 3 content pieces. And so when you have this roadmap, you can quickly create a powerful presentations using stories for both a personal story and also your content pieces. And you can finally let go of the script and be more heart-centered and be more connected to your audience. Does that help? Anybody have any questions? Type it into the chat, or you can unmute. And if you'd like to get this presentation, feel free to type in your email into the chat, and I'll be happy to send over the slides. Or if you have any questions, type in your email if you want the framework. And then if you also have any questions, go ahead and unmute any questions that you have. What are the thoughts? Like, is this helpful?
It's Barry. I have a comment question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
So go back to the slide if you could with the I call it the ditch, the
Yeah.
yeah. So
The
I've
valley, the
yeah,
ditch.
Valley. I've often heard a model in sales. I'm not saying I agree with it, but in sales, I've heard a model similar to this, but I think this is maybe the same. And that is, find out their needs,
Mm-hmm.
throw them in the ditch or have them throw themselves in the ditch, right? And then pull them out. And pull them out is the, how you can help them. Is this in a, I'm not sure I like it, but I get it. Is this in a way the same kind of thing, but you're not throwing them in the ditch? They're throwing themselves in the ditch metaphorically. And you're saying this is what I can do to help you conceptually? Anything close?
Yes, it's a where you're sharing a specific life story. So there's a brand story. So there's different stories. There's a brand story where you are sharing your own life story. That just like what happened when was it somebody was sharing a story and you resonated with
Oh
it?
yeah, I said Helen. I said
Helen. Yeah.
I relate to these two people.
Yes. So sharing your own personal story, your brand story of how you've done something or been in a similar challenge will then connect you to your clients because they resonate. They are in a similar challenge. So that's your brand story. Then there's also client stories where you can share with a client, other customers that have a similar challenge that you supported them. You've taken them out of the ditch. You're painting the challenge, the ditch of the other clients, and then you're taking them out.
Thanks, Melinda.
Yeah, got it. And then I'm also now including, you can share this in your content pieces. If you're just talking about a content, if you're talking about growth mindset, if you're talking about how to be an effective leader, the 3 stages, the first stage is find your vision. Then you can actually find your vision and break it out into the KAKAR framework. What are the challenges of finding a vision? What are the actions to finding a vision? And what is the results? Thanks for the question. And I was happy to share the slides if you just type in your email and I'll share the slides. And how confident are you to tell your story, your brand story? You don't have to type this into the chat, just something for you to think about. Rating yourself. Where are you at? And do you know how to include that into a presentation and start delivering your signature speech, your signature talk? It's who you are. It's your message. It's how you're going to connect with your audience. It's going to stand you out because the reality is your audience is going to lump you up with all the other coaches because coaching, they're not sure what specific problems you can help them solve. Coaching is very broad. There's a lot of coaches. So you help solve a specific problem for your clients. And more likely than not, like we've shared today and heard today, the problems that you've been through are similar to the client. So sharing your message, sharing your brand story will help you connect and help them see you and help you stand out. So this is what I help my clients do. If you feel like there's a lot of stories that you have, you don't know how quite to share it in a clear, concise manner, especially in a presentation, in a compelling presentation, I'd like to offer all of you a confidence blueprint session. And in this session, I'll give you just a step-by-step plan of how you can double your confidence in 1 month or less. Sharing a signature speech, developed, done and dialed, and presented in a confident way in 1 month or less. And this is just a step-by-step plan. So I'm going to put into the chat my the code to book the call. And it's just a 30-minute call where we're going to give you the step-by-step plan of how to double your confidence. So feel free to, there you go. That's the complimentary call for you. And I'd love to be able to support you. And it's been an honor and fun journey today with you today. I'm going to share one more slide. I'm going to wrap it up with empowered speakers, empowered leaders. You see my daughters in the middle there. And then also my mom. In 2016, my mom passed away. Ironically or not, it was in a tumor. There's a tumor in her mouth. So she never spoke up. She never said what she wanted. She never talked about her desires. So it is in my heart's passion to empower leaders like you to share these powerful stories. You didn't go through this mess for no reason. Sharing your life stories, they matter. They help you connect emotionally to your clients. And most of all, it builds your legacy and your business. So thank you so much for your time and effort today and engagement. It's been an honor. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you so much, Cynthia and Maria. And I can stay for a little bit longer if there are questions, any comments. Thank you again. And that's all I have.
I think
Well,
there was a
go ahead.
there's a question about the code. You mentioned a code, and somebody asked.
Oh, it's in the chat. So go ahead and here, I'm going to type it again.
It's the URL, not the code, correct?
It's a URL, sorry. It's a URL to book the confidence blueprint session, a step-by-step plan to double your confidence. Learn how you can double your confidence to deliver your presentation. Yeah. Thank you, Donna.
Well, thank you so much, Melinda. And actually, I want to thank Ted, Judy, Helen, Nancy, Barry, Stephanie, Audrey for participating and sharing in today's program. Thank you. And thank you to my co-host, Heather and Maria. And thank you for everyone who attended. We appreciate your participation and your support. It's a good day when we can connect, learn, and grow together. Be sure to follow ICFLA on all of our social media platforms. You can find our social media links on www.icfla.org.
Great
Bye,
participation.
everyone.